So many of us here today are friends, and if you're not here with friends, you are going to leave with them. I promise you, it is fertile ground. It's a greenhouse for friendships. And in fact, I heard something interesting from Faith just before, that women who don't have any friends, and that's unusual but not completely unlikely, it's the equivalent of smoking 20 cigarettes a day. That's what it does to your health. Which on the flip side tells you just how healthy it is for us to have friends and have people that we can share with and be truthful and honest with. So this little discussion is about friendship, building friendships, making friends, losing friends, looking after friends, what it's all about. And we are lucky enough to have two wonderful gals here to share with us the art and sometimes the chaos of building friendships and community. Yumi and Tracy have navigated careers, parenthood, partnerships, probably enough life twists to fill a Netflix series, I reckon. In fact, that's not a bad idea, we should do that. So we're very glad to have you here. Firstly, Tracy Spicer, you've all seen this wonderful woman before, journalist, author, broadcaster, whose awards shelf must be structurally reinforced by now, I think. It's crazy. Women's Leadership Champion, the Sydney Peace Prize, New South Wales Premier's Woman of the Year, Order of Australia for her 30 years work in media and charity. This is the calibre of friends that Faith has that she can just pull out of the cupboard. Unbelievable. But Tracy is also, I know, a down-to-earth, open, honest, kind and loving chick, and a great friend. And one of Tracy's friends is Yumi Stynes. Please welcome you. Broadcaster, author, podcast powerhouse, I think would be the right word for it. Yumi's hit Ladies We Need to Talk, which many of you would be fans of, is ABC's most downloaded podcast ever, which really is saying something. And her incredible Welcome series, the most recent edition is Welcome to Sex, and it's pure genius, and is going into America. It's already throughout Europe. It's going into the Philippines. Can you believe that? A country so Catholic, and it's going there. So thank whatever deity or goddess for that. But also, you know, Yumi is also, sorry, I have a little list here of what she's, I've also broken my foot, which is slightly annoying. So unfortunate and very unsexy footwear, but anyway. Oh, that's right. Now, Yumi did say to me that she will be happy if she dies knowing that she actually made it possible for, well, she wrote the definitive book on what to do when you get your period. And that is truly bloody brilliant. Literally bloody brilliant. So these girls exist in a slightly different stratosphere to many of us. But does that, in fact, well, do bonds of friendship discriminate? Let's find out. Why not? Welcome, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
Hi, everybody. Hi, friends. Hi, bitches. Thanks for having us today. We're stoked to be here. We're going to take questions at the end of this session. So if you've got anything you want to ask Tracy or I, have it under your sleeve. Remember, not a monologue, not a life story, not a biography. Just a question would be great.
Fantastic. Yes, definitely. I've just been told the camera can see up my skirt, so that's nice, isn't it?
I guess you get extra for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Charlotte. Now that's friendship. Charlotte has been known to pick pieces of toilet paper off the back of my heels, so she's there for you at those times. Let's find out a bit about how you guys became friends. What did that evolve from, and how did it develop?
So Tracy and I, Tracy came on my podcast. It's actually the first time we met in season 1, so 9 years ago, to talk about the mental of being a woman and a professional. So somebody with a lot of work and children and a partner, to all of that to maintain. And it was a slow burn, which I think is normal for Sydney. Like, you know, you'd send someone a text and then you'd wait a couple of days to reply. You never go in too hot because it's a bit overwhelming. But over the years we became friends, but particularly during COVID. So Tracy set up an all-women group to do trivia nights on Zoom. And partly it was to get to know how to use this technology, which was new to all of us at the time. So it was helping a bunch of very interesting professional women figure out some stuff. And we had to take turns each week writing the questions. So I tried to make mine all about like cool shit to show off how cool I am, and no one knew any of the answers. So it kind of fell flat. But that was sort of the start of it. And since then, Tracy's shown up in really beautiful, multiple ways.
What a lovely thing to say. Oh, yeah, we did become really close during the pandemic because I got long COVID and was in a wheelchair for about 10 months. I had a really restricted diet, a low histamine diet, which is, it's not just like gluten-free, it's not just like sugar-free, it's really complicated. So Yumi drove from the other side of town with all these low histamine meals that she had cooked herself. Can I tell you, that is above and beyond right for living on a global. I was so impressed. Also, because both of us have been subject to, I suppose, national pylons is a fair thing to say. Yumi sent me this book when I was going through a particularly bad pylon called So You've Been Publicly Shamed. It's by John Ronson. And it helped her through one of the pylons, and it really helped me as well. So we've connected on a lot of deep levels, but I think the deepest level we connect on is humour and being really open and blunt and honest with each other. For example, when I saw Yumi today, I said, "I'm so sorry, I'm in a bit of pain. I've sprained my wrist from masturbating." And then I said,
To all of us.
"Have you written about that in any of your books?" And she said, "No, but I think I should."
I mean, that is one of the very precious things that women experience. I hope that many people experience this, that there are no barriers. You literally can tell your girlfriends anything. And I think it actually has a physiological response in our bodies. The things that we share and we can be honest with our girlfriends. Is that what you find?
Yeah, and shared experiences. Tracy and I went to the beach a couple of weeks ago, and she just said something about how I don't really want to be on TV anymore, don't need it. And I fucking love that, because we've both been on TV for years, like literally hundreds of hours of live TV. So for me to say that to someone else, it's tricky, because it's like, wow, Yumi, doing a TV career. It's such a drag, but someone like Tracy's been there herself and knows what it's like. But yeah, the nitty gritty of, you know, the wank injury, which we need to delve into. I mean, ladies, we need to talk about your wank injury.
Calf spasms.
Is it? Oh, calf spasm. From wanking? Because your toes curling at the moment. Look, there's so much of, I mean, we're sharing right now, right? But
Anybody else got anything interesting about injuring themselves during wanking?
Anyone else hurt themselves self-pleasuring?
Any completely lost sex toys gone for good? I know after 2 kids I could basically lose a couple up in area. Anyway, we're getting in the middle of something.
I think it is about a lot of things. When women go through shit times, which I guarantee everyone in the room has experienced something pretty rough, there's often a part of yourself that says you should have trusted your instincts. You knew. On some level, you knew. And that is one of the key lessons we learn as we age, is our instincts are always right. And that's why we can't be fucked with so much, which is why people don't fuck with us as much. But the instincts aren't just about danger. Sometimes they're about beautiful things, like, this person is one of my people. I can trust this woman. I can disclose things to her that I might be really hesitant to tell someone else that I've known for 20 years longer. So in that way, I think our instincts can fast-track friendships. And usually, I mean, I've never encountered an experience where I've regretted that.
Yeah, I've completely forgotten the question because I'm so distracted by people losing sex toys in various oases.
But it's about sharing and honesty, and I guess, well, actually, interestingly, because, I mean, long COVID is a bloody shocker of a thing. I know friends of mine, and I just absolutely credit you for coming out the other side, and I know that there's lots of stuff you bring with you in those health challenges. But in terms of honesty, I mean, during COVID and when you were experiencing what you were, do you think that people were not as honest with each other? Do you think, how did friendship get affected by COVID, do you think?
I'm sure everyone in this room has got a story about how friendships changed during COVID, because instead we had to connect online, which in a way is not as deep a connection. I know with the long COVID I had some friendships that really deepened during that time, like the one with Yumi, a relatively new friendship in my life at the age of 57, but some friendships with people who I'd had for a long time actually became less because they couldn't handle the fact that I was in a wheelchair. It reminded them too much of their own mortality because I had long COVID, and I think some of you might have had experiences like that if you've had a chronic illness. It is confronting for people, and sometimes they step away and they don't want to talk about it. But I think overall, I mean, I've made a lot of friendships on social media, which sounds really weird. People I've known on Twitter for 10 years, I've eventually met them and thought, what a really cool person. So that doesn't mean that we can't make friendships online and it can't end up being as deep as those face-to-face relationships.
That's fascinating. Isn't this just lovely? I could just sit, it's like having a chat with girlfriends, very quietly, even though there's 300 of us here. One of the things that interests me is that you're both very public figures, and I'm sure that within the communities that you speak to, people think that they're your friends. You sort of feel like screaming, no, you're not my friend. This is not podcast me. You know, you just see, jammies and coffee stains me. That's who I am. Do you ever feel people feel that they do know you, but they really don't?
Well, they actually do know me, because I'm pretty much what you see is what you get.
Pyjamas and coffee stains, is it?
Yeah, that's how I show up to work. Hey, ABC, I'm gross. I don't mind, but the other thing, Rebecca, is that I've noticed is that you can turn it on and off. Like, you can be noticeable when you go to soccer, or you can be quite invisible, and you can control that. You can control your charisma levels. Like a hat and, just relatively innocuous clothes, people aren't going to notice who you are. If I've got my hair covered, people don't notice who I am.
Yeah, controlling your riz, I like that, controlling your riz levels. Look, I'm an old...
Different to Maz levels.
Yeah, that's right. Different to Maz levels. I'm a bit of an old hippie. I'm yoga, meditation, mindfulness, all that kind of shit. And so I am a very open person with friendship. And if someone's met me once or twice and wants to be my friend, that's great. I love making friendships just randomly, whether you're watching the kids play soccer or play tennis, even if some of them might know you from your work in the media. It's still really nice to meet new people. There's that quote from Seinfeld that some of you might remember, that you turn 30 and that's it, the club's full. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any more membership applications. But I think you keep making different friendships on different levels your whole life, and that's the secret to combating loneliness.
Totally agree, and I think the fact that everyone is here and you showed up today, you're probably more on the pointy end of the friendship-making person in your life. Of your siblings, of your work group, of the people that you know, you probably are the more outgoing one. So I think the lesson might be today is how to bring more people in, because you're the outgoing one. How do we be more inclusive? How do we check in on that person who doesn't have many friends or is a bit of a recluse? And how do we be better friends to the ones who are already in our lives?
I guess the interesting thing as well is about the way we use the word friend as well. I mean, it's sort of been hijacked a little bit, its definition, BFF, best friends forever, which I think is loaded with all sorts of problems, but anyway. But friends on Facebook, friends with benefits, like there's all these different sorts of friends, but has it been hijacked? I mean, is there still a quintessential meaning of what it is, or is it just a broader thing? We have more communities now.
I haven't noticed it to be hijacked, but I think we could be more intentional about what it is in our own lives. I think we start a lot of our youth thinking that friends just come, you meet them at school, you meet them at work, you meet them as a mum, and it does feel very natural and organic. But you might hit a point in your life when you actually have to be intentional about it, and I think that's why COVID was such a good learning experience, because I was like, sure, I've got great friends, but they're past my 5K's radius. Why don't I know more people near me? How can I be more active in that? And what lesson will I take when this lockdown is over? And I really did internalise that. Rebecca and I was challenged and thirsty. I was like, that's fucked that I don't have friends in my immediate vicinity, and I will be thirsty to make friends. And it's almost like an addiction. So I've given up sex, nicotine, any drugs, and alcohol.
Oh boy, God.
So my high now is from contact and community and socialising and connecting. So I'm like, line up those drugs, baby. I'm getting high on my friends today. And I love it. And I feel that buzz that I get from people. I mean, obviously there are draining people out there that drain you. But I wasn't pointing at you. But, you know, when you've got your loved ones who really, really laugh with you and you just come back so full of joy and gladness, those people are the drugs that you should be seeking out, and that's what friendship is. And you should and can be so intentional about it. As we grow older, we've got less to lose. Like, if you tell someone about my prolapse, wow, like, who fucking cares? Like, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, just, I have nothing to lose. We will become friends. I will be open. I will love you. I will give you so much of my time if I've got any, ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's cramming yourself full of joy.
Friendship as a drug, that's a wonderful notion. Isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And there was so much in that too about community, because community is everything. And often we do, you know, I think with the explosion of technology, I think we've become more disconnected from our local communities, and the pandemic made us build those relationships again. Same as you, I've made more closer friendships in the local area. But on the BFF thing, I hate that expression. And I think because I've got an 18-year-old daughter, she has had so many BFFs. She is that kind of character who likes to cling to one person, and they cling to her almost like a relationship. But then they have catastrophic falling outs. And then we have a falling out with the parents who we really like, and that's terrible for us. But it's not good for her. So I don't like the BFF thing. I also, look, I think it's about knowing yourself really well. You've got to know whether you're the kind of person who likes a large group, a small group, a couple of one-on-one friendships. I tend to like a group of 3. I've got a group of 3 from school, a group of 3 from Melbourne, from when I lived there. That dynamic tends to work for me. But the closest thing I ever had to a BFF was a friend I had for about 40 years who kept wanting to be that BFF, and eventually she blew up our friendship in the most public, catastrophic way, threw me under a bus publicly, white-handed me to all the people we knew in common, and I guess that kind of reinforced why I didn't believe in the BFF thing, because it can blow up so badly. So yeah, community, large networks, small networks, close relationships, but not just the one.
Yeah, I can see a huge amount of sense in that, and I think most of us experience that very, very close relationship which all goes to shit, and sometimes you don't even know why, and it is catastrophic. But having those broader networks makes a difference. Look, I didn't realise how much time had passed. So why don't we throw it open to a few questions about friendship for our wonderful panel here. Yes, lady in orange, one of my favourite colours.
How do you know when you're at the end of the friendship, and how do you know to actually let it go instead of holding on?
So how do you know when you're at the end of a friendship, and how do you let it go and not hold on?
So I always picture the proximity of 2 people in a friendship as connected by chewing gum or bubble gum. So it can be really elastic. Sometimes you're so close and so intimate, and sometimes it's stretched quite far apart. So you're talking about when it's time to let go of the chewing gum. Yeah. So I think there are times when you can really stretch it and you can say, we're so far apart that I might not ever see that person again. If you want to let go, I would suggest that the question was, how do I know? You know, that's why you're asking the question. You're already, really? You don't know?
No.
When you're fucking pissed off with them. And I think that, I mean, so I am writing a book about this, so I've talked to a few experts about this exact thing. The suggested action is to have a really frank conversation with them where you lay on the table what is grieving you. And it's often something like, there's an imbalance in how much friendship I want to how much you want to reciprocate, or an imbalance in the showing of care. Like, you dump all your problems on me, but you're not even interested in hearing about my latest breakup, you know, that kind of thing. So if it's usually an imbalance. So if you lay on the table, listen, this feels very uneven, I feel like all I do is give, and they do not receive that information very, very openly, then you know that it is time to let it go. But I really want to say that life is long. That elastic bit of bubblegum may contract, you might need them. They might experience a catastrophic tragedy, and all you want to do is overcome that shit and run back to help them. So I would always, like, I know there are gross people, and I've definitely broken off friendships, snap, but I would always err on the side of going, I don't need to blow it up, because love is, like, it's worth it sometimes.
Yeah. There's so much wisdom in that, but I want to approach it from a different way and a different reason why you might want to have some distance. We're all becoming very polarised in our opinions because of the algorithms on social media. And I've had a lot of instances in the past 10 years, particularly the last 2 years, where friends have developed, you know, pretty extreme political points of view that are very different to my political points of view, but they're still great people. And we've had long friendships, and I've thought deeply about, is it worth still retaining this friendship, or are we just going to fight about politics all the time? And I think that's where the nuance in friendship comes. So different types of interaction, probably more in a group rather than one-on-one, don't talk about politics, all that kind of stuff. Stick to the stuff that connects you as friends in the first place, and then that elastic, you know, that chewing gum can still stretch without it snapping.
Wonderful, wonderful words. Can we fit in a couple more questions, Lizzie? Thank you so much. Yeah, questions from the floor, and I'm also interested in whether anybody's very keen on mentoring, because I think that is a big part of developing friendship understanding in young people. But lady, yes, hello. Shout it out.
A friend gave me a good guideline on friendships, and I've sort of followed this through. And what she said is that friendship should be fun, not hard work. Yes. Because I had a few friends that were draining me, and when I apply that principle, it was time to just distance myself and let go.
And have more fun. So friendship should be fun.
Yes, but I'm like the most unfun friend right now in my life. I got divorced last year. We go to family court next month, and I am being a fucking grump about it. And I know this is a phase in my life that I won't be in forever. And coming out the other side, I'll be amazing. I will. I'll be like the roadrunner. I'll be so high on happiness. But I'm really enjoying leaning on my friends and asking them to put up with my terrible personality right there. So Tracy came over because I was absolutely, I had turned to stone in unpacking my new house. And I had boxes everywhere, and I was completely paralysed by too much choice. What should I do now?
Tracy couldn't help because she didn't injured her hand wanking.
But you weren't paralysed, and you were still fun, even though you were immensely stressed. Look, on the fun thing, I think that's really important, because as women, we tend to listen to other people's issues, support each other through things, and that has seasons. You know, I support Yumi now, she supported me at a different time, and it all balances out. Having said that, I have a couple of friends who have started using me as an unpaid psychologist, and they'll even say at the end of the conversation, well, that saved me $200. And my daughter is like that, and is thinking about studying psychology next year, and I see her on the phone with her friends, and she's giving great advice, she's very wise, she's very sensible, and I'm like, I love that you do that with your friends, but put up some boundaries and barriers, because friendships need to be fun, and you need to take turns sharing and disclosing with each other.
And at least she will ultimately get paid for what she does.
Well, this is right, so that's probably a good thing to go into.
Question over here.
So just on that, I heard a great line a few weeks ago, and because I'm a dumping ground for lots of people, and I started to want to dump, bad terms, but saying to the person on the phone, I'm going through something today, have you got the capacity to listen to me today?
Oh, that's so good.
And I started asking
Excellent.
a couple of people in my life to check with me if I've got the capacity to hear them that day. Because sometimes you don't, because other stuff's going on, but you don't want them to think you're ignoring them.
So the comment, if you couldn't hear it up the back, was about asking consent before you do a big trauma dump on your friend. and asking your friends who might have a tendency to do that to you, if they would please in future ask consent, ask if you're in a good place before they do it and dump on you.
Yeah, and then knowing those boundaries and just being aware of the situation the other person is in before you start up, because we can often just race in. Anybody on mentoring younger women? I mean, I know it's one of my favourite friendships to have is with young women. Having survived in the television industry for a few thousand years, you do feel like there's a lot to pass on. I think you both agree. And those relationships are very important to me. And I encourage everybody to try and reach out your hands to younger women and all young women who are here to take that on, because it's a beautiful way to pass on wisdom. Lady just in the middle there, yes.
Yeah, I mentor a young researcher, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Stand up and shout it out. It's a lovely story. You mentor a young researcher.
Yeah, I'm a researcher and I mentor a young researcher, and she loves it and I love it. I get so much out of it, and she seems to get so much out of it, and it's wonderful. And I'm learning loads. She's learning loads. So
It's
we
such
actually
a
don't really talk much about research. Yeah, it's great. So I would encourage everyone to mentor, because it's just wonderful.
Yeah, but very rewarding experience. Do you girls have mentorees? Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful.
I heard it said that if all your friendship group are people the same age, women the same age, that's not a community, that is a clique. And I felt like I'd been slapped. I was like, oh. And I think it's important, because you're talking about mentoring to youngers, I think it's also important to seek out the wisdom and friendship of the elders as well, the older women, because it's so enriching. But also it's a bit of a reality slap, because people think differently across different generations. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I've mentored for years and years, but the two young women I mentor at the moment are amazing, and I've become friends with them, which is cool because they're very young, right? And so one of them, we started doing archery together, of all things, just something different with that cross-generational friendship. We loved the relaxation of aiming at something so much, we decided to go shooting together. And we booked in at this gun club the day of the US election. So
it was Tracy.
We contacted each other that morning and said, probably not a good idea to go to the gun club the day of the US election. So we have a great laugh, and you're right, cross-generational friendships are everything.
Yeah, and absolutely. Looking up to the elder and looking down, but not down on, but with the younger, absolutely. Any final question? Anybody got an absolute burning issue they want to ask these ladies? Anybody scared of reaching out? Does it scare anybody? Is anybody scared of rejection? That's probably an interesting one. So, you know, we're saying go out and make friends, you'll have a great time, it's like a drug. Yeah. Make as many as possible. But what if you get rejected?
What about you? How do you feel about it?
Me. How do I feel? Well, I am fortunate enough to have a group of probably 4 friends who I've had for like 45 years, who know me probably better than I know myself. And I feel that that's a very, very precious thing. I think in terms of, I love making new friends because I'm a curious person. I mean, I could walk up and talk to all of you. I just think it's one of the best things, the best ways of spending time, and I love finding out about new things. If I get rejected, and it does happen, like not everybody loves me, I tend to, I don't know whether it's just denial or ego or what, I tend to think, oh well, her problem. And what her loss, you know, I move on to my next target. Target's probably not the right word.
It just means to the gun range.
Friendship opportunity. So I think that if nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, you never know what's going to be on the other side of that conversation, whether you're going to actually make a friend for life or just learn that that person's possibly just not that into you. So I think, you know, you've got to have a bit of a thick skin and believe in yourself that you are a good person, that you have things worth offering. And if they're not being received, then there's somewhere else to go with them.
Yeah, there's been some recent American research on this too. Love a bit of research myself. Saying that when people initiate a friendship, their self-perception of how that will be received is much lower than how it actually is received. So people take it as a huge compliment, but the initiator is often fearful that it will be perceived as being kind of gross or inappropriate, and it is so rarely perceived as that. It's always a compliment. And I think being on the receiving end, or just being somebody, because you're here, I figure somebody quite socially fluent, the word I would try and apply to one's own behaviour is showing grace. You know, your friend might be a dick one day, and that's normal. And just being gracious and kind and patient, stoic, because everybody has a bad day. That would be what I would leave everybody with.
The one thing I'd like to leave everybody with is completely unrelated to that, which is you are all amazing, and thank you for coming along today, because this is the most beautiful community. How important is community? And thank you for the beautiful questions.
Thank you, though. Please, a big round of applause. Thank you.